Karen.
Yes.
Sound. It's a marvelous thing, isn't it?
It is.
It's an incredible thing. And at the end of the day, sounds really, they're just vibrational frequencies. And some people feel that these frequencies can have some profound effects on us physically and spiritually. But what if a particular sound could reveal what your actual life's purpose was?
Ooh.
Got your attention?
Yes.
Or what karma you may have around you that needs to be cleared. And what if this particular sound was nothing less than the sound of your own name?
Oh, boy. Well, my name is not great these days, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into that for sure. This week's guest is going to share with us how our birth names actually create our realities, as well as the life lessons that our souls choose. A fascinating new episode starts now.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
So we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something.
Anything.
That will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey, welcome to the Skeptic Metaphysicians. I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And today's guest was born with intuitive talents. Now, she always felt different from everyone else, and from a very young age had a strong fascination with mysticism.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now, while healing her heart from childhood wounds, betrayal, and abandonment, she discovered the ancient methodology of the soul contract work. And I know, Karen, you and I have a lot to talk about in terms of soul contract. So now, decoding and understanding her own soul contract, what her soul signed up for in this life, played such a huge part in her own healing and awakening that she decided to become a soul contracts practitioner so that she could help others heal and remember their purpose in this incarnation as well. And the first step on this journey, vibrational frequencies of our birth name. Karen, I don't know about you, but I'm about to lose my mind with anticipation. So let's welcome our guest, Gellyahnah Aakhen, to the show. Gellyahnah, so thrilled to have you on with us.
I am super excited to be here. And Will, you made me sound so good. I think I'm just going to replay that over and over and over. That's a good vibration right there.
Well, sometimes you get guests that make it so easy to introduce them in such a powerful way. And you are definitely one of those. We've been waiting for that divine timing to get you on the show. And it feels like it just couldn't be a better time with everything that's happening right now. But let's set the table first and foremost. We talk about soul contracts, but for those that are listening in that don't truly understand what we're talking about, can you give us a lowdown? What is a soul contract exactly?
Absolutely. So there are two things when it comes to soul contracts. When most people think of soul contracts, they think about the agreements that souls make between each other before they reincarnate into any given lifetime. That's more of sort of the common knowledge or usage of that term. The way I look at soul contracts, the way I decipher them, it's your own soul's contract with itself as to what it is that you're going to experience in this lifetime, right? So I'm looking, Will, what did your soul sign up for in this reincarnation? Karen, what did your soul sign up for? I do have the ability to look at your contract together as well. But the core of what I do is really, what is it that you signed up for?
Yeah, we're both, because we kind of have a feeling it's a loaded question based on everything that's happening. But okay, so soul contracts, is this like a binding contract? You sign it in blood and there's no way out of it? Or is there, I guess, because full disclosure, Karen's not 100% behind the possibility that there is such a thing as a soul contract.
So you totally just outed me right there.
I did.
I was going to go with this and see what I learned.
Well, no, you could still learn a lot, I think, because I think you're going to be proven wrong this time.
Maybe. I am open. I am open.
Okay. All right. So then, is this something that is binding, or can you change your soul contract while you're incarnated?
Well, we all have free will, right? This is the beauty of Earth, is that here we have free will. And so the way that you can look at this is a soul is signing up for a divine mission, because every single one of us here is part of a, tapestry of what's happening on Earth right now. So I think what you're asking me is, well, if a soul comes in and decides it doesn't want to be a part of this divine plan, can it go sideways? Well, the answer is yes. We see a lot of people go sideways all the time, right? So the answer is yes, because you have free will. But why would you want to? Because each soul actually plans such a beautiful experience for its own expansion and evolution. So I'm just giving you a different perspective.
Sure. And then there's a thought that if you do go off the rails a little bit, then now you're going to have to come back another time so that you can find a way to fulfill that contract or that lesson you're supposed to learn or whatnot. Right?
Absolutely. Exactly. So, sometimes contract sounds, like you said, so binding with blood, but it's really not meant to be negative because, why do souls even reincarnate here? It's because they're looking to ascend, they're looking to grow. So if you're coming here and, in your human form, you decide again to kind of go off the rails, well, you didn't get to expand, right? So now when you pass and you're back in the soul form, the soul says, oops, I don't get to advance, right? So we can't look at it from the human perspective. You always have to look at it from the soul's perspective. And we never know why soul's choosing to have a particular life experience. I mean, we can certainly dig into it, right? With certain tools like I have, there's, past life hypnotherapy, there's different tools. But for the most part, most people walking around Earth aren't thinking, oh, my soul must have chosen this lifetime because of X, Y, Z.
So when a soul chooses the lifetime or the experience they're going to have, are they choosing the exact, like, I'm going to be born in as a child that gets abused, or are they saying, I want to learn about suffering so I can be more empathetic? Like, are they picking the details or just the general mission?
I guess how specific do they have to be, I guess, right?
Great question. So the answer is yes to all of that because each soul's journey is unique. Now, do some souls choose to be born to not soul-loving parents? Absolutely. And there's a number of reasons for that. Number one, literally could be balancing karma, because maybe in a past life, that soul was very abusive or not so good to others. And in order for it to come back, you just have to rebalance karma. And here's the thing. Every single one of us has been a villain. Every single one of us. And because the soul wants to experience all the different experiences possible. And the soul knows, well, I'll get to rebalance karma. So that could be one reason. Another reason is a soul could say, oh gosh, all right, well, I need to come into this lifetime and accomplish this. And the best way for me to do that is to come into this particular genetic line because I'm going to get the genetics of the family. Maybe they're psychic and the soul needs to have more of a psychic lifetime. And knowing that the parents might be not so good, but then when the child is born, the parents, instead of being not so good, actually become very abusive. That's not always pre-planned, right? That's when you start to generate even more karma as the parent. Does that make sense? Because there's so much to to say about this. I'm trying to give you snippets.
The Reader's Digest version. Right?
Right.
So then you can come in as a soul with a purpose, but not necessarily accomplish that purpose.
100%.
The child, heaven forbid, doesn't survive, then they won't necessarily have accomplished their mission. Or was their mission to sacrifice themselves to this abuse to learn something?
Well, you go.
That's where I struggle with the whole contract thing. I'm like, why would someone do that? Or, why would a
because yeah, so it could be one or the other, exactly like you said. But again, why would somebody do that? You've got to sort of step back and say, am I asking this from a human perspective? Because no human would ever sign up for abuse or suffer. Okay. Right. But a soul might. Right. And so we always have to look at it from the higher perspective. And, the human thing to do, I get this often. People say, I must have been a horrible person in a past life in order to suffer this much. And then I look at their chart and I see victim mentality all throughout it. Right. And I'm like, well, maybe I don't say this so bluntly to them, of course, but it's like, okay, well, you're choosing to be a victim. I don't see anything in your soul contract that says you came here to suffer, but choosing to suffer is very much a human thing. Mm-hmm. And so if you tell yourself, oh, I must have been bad in a past life and now I'm here to suffer, well, guess what? That becomes your reality.
Is that going sideways on the contract?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, if we're in human form and we're having these experiences, yet we don't remember a past life, it's just the average Joe has not done a past life regression. He's just, having his life and he's not remembering anything. How can in this life you work on changing the karma that was coming from past lives?
Well, there's many ways. There's many ways. I think what you're asking is, how do we awaken and follow our divine path? And the answer to this is limitless. I mean, you could have somebody who's completely not conscious of anything, but have such a good heart. I mean, you don't have to even believe in God or source or the universe to be a good person and do what you came here to do. So there's many ways to do that.
So even though the person doesn't remember, the soul will remember.
Absolutely. The soul always knows. And when people come into me for soul contract readings, I tell them, I'm probably not going to tell you anything about yourself that you don't already know. You know who you are. You've been who you are your entire life. You know your deepest, darkest thoughts, whatever they may be. And all I'm doing is validating things for people, and I think for so many, me being a stranger, usually off the internet, that they've found to come in for soul reading with, they're like, how do you know? How do you know? Because, and this isn't your sort of like, I always tell people, look, I may have psychic abilities, but you're not going to come to me for a psychic reading. That's not really what I offer, because my purpose is to help people awaken and remember who they are. So I'm literally looking at, what is your soul wanting to do here? And are you aligned? Are you on the path?
Okay.
And I think, Karen, you're having such a difficult time wrapping your head around, why would someone choose to subject themselves to something so negative, but also someone else subject someone else to do in doing something so negative, because you're such a good person inside that you have a hard time imagining wanting that for yourself or for others. So to me, I can understand where that disconnect might be, just because we can't fathom it,
And I do just want to make clear for anybody listening, I am not trying to debunk this. I'm trying to learn more. So if I'm asking these questions that seem like they're really pointed or harsh or whatever, it's because I need help understanding.
I love the conversation. I love the questions you're asking, because you and I have had these conversations together, just you and I, for a while, and I've not had the answer. So now we have the expert on hand that's answering your questions, and I think it's going to be really helpful for both of us.
And I'm understanding some things a little more. I really am.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, and I think they're wonderful questions. I love the skeptics, because this can get very woo-woo, but it's also very practical in many ways.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So we've set the table. We know what soul contracts are. We know why we choose them. They're agreements with ourselves, so to speak, I guess. Before we were born, we decide that we're going to do a certain thing. Right? We understand what they are now. So your modality is super interesting, because it's all wrapped around the sound of our birth name. How is it possible for our birth name, the vibrational frequencies around that name, how is it possible for that name to delineate what our soul's purpose is, just by the sound of our name, the vibrational frequencies of our name?
Oh, my favorite question. All right, you ready? This is where it gets really juicy.
Okay.
Until we get into your soul contracts. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 examples that I know you've heard of and all your listeners have heard of, okay? When it comes to sound vibration. So we've all heard of the scientific version of how our universe was created, Big Bang Theory, right? Bang, sounds, frequencies. Okay. Regardless of how you feel about the Bible, we've all heard the story. In the very beginning, there's literally nothing until God starts to speak things into existence. So of all the ways God could create, right? God could snap I don't know what, God doesn't have fingers, but it's through sound, right? You're right. Maybe, but right. It's their sound. So we have the word. Okay. And then there's the symbol that all the yogis wear on their t-shirts, right? The Om symbol. That's the sound of creation. So it's all around us, telling us how powerful sound is. And so the premise here is that the sound frequencies of your name create your reality, the way that, God spoke Earth into existence, the way that, the Big Bang happened and created our universe, right? Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Karen, remember Judah Collective, how it affected you immediately? This is what's doing it to me. Like I'm fighting back tears for some reason. When she started
Oh.
talking about the Om, it just hit me right in the solar plexus. There's something about this vibrational frequencies that really resonate with me. So I'm so excited to have you here on the show. Okay. So we all know that words have power, and we create our own reality by speaking. All the words we use on a daily basis, it manifests our reality as we move forward. That's pretty much been established, I think, by this point. But that's by the use of an actual word. Like I'm great, I'm happy, I'm successful, I'm whatever it is, right? And it has a lot to do with the I am, if you subscribe to a certain school of thought. So how does the name Karen bring about Karen's life purpose? Because it's not really saying I'm going to be an angel. It says Karen.
And there's a lot of out there.
Yeah, and right now,
they're not angels.
Right now, the name Karen is not so favorable in people's mouths sometimes, unfortunately, these days.
Yeah. No, I understand. Okay. So let's go to phase 2 of breaking this down. Okay. So I'm not actually looking at the name Karen or Will or Jenny or Sam. I'm looking at the sound vibrations that these names carry. And what I do is I actually take the entire birth name. Now, let me tell you, let's talk about why the birth name is so important. So the birth name is important because when the soul is in the process of choosing its next life incarnation, the soul chooses the karma that it wants to bring in to rebalance, the unique talents, the goals, which are things it wants to accomplish, and ultimately, what is the soul destiny, as in the soul's purpose. When the soul decides all of this, it gets encoded into the name. So it's actually the soul that chooses the name, not the parents. And it's the soul's job to get it to the parents, and it's the parents' job to get it correct. Right? So if you ask any parent, they always have a story of how they just knew when it was the child's name.
That's so funny. We just had this conversation yesterday, as a matter of fact, with someone else, because our daughter, when she was born, we were so convinced that she was going to be a boy the entire time. Well, we know it's going to be a boy. So we picked out 2 boys' names. And when she came out to being a girl, we were thrown back a little bit.
Will was freaked out. He thought our son was deformed.
I mean, right? You lift him up and you go, where's the stuff, right? So then we, in a scramble, just say, okay, she's Sophia, because we had kind of thought, well, Sophia might be a possibility if in case it's a girl. And then, so our daughter was Sophia for about 5-10 minutes. When they came in with the birth certificate. Okay, are you sure the name is Sophia? We both looked at each other and went, no, her name is Sienna. And from that point forward, she is Sienna Blaze. And we talked about the fact that intuitively, we don't know where it came from. I think we said, she looks more like a Sienna. How does a baby look like a Sienna, right? No. Something communicated with us and said, my name is Sienna. So it makes perfect sense what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%. And you have so many of these mothers that tell you, I had a dream where my baby literally came to me and told me its name. I mean, I get these all the time. Like I have a TikTok video that I've posted on TikTok a few times. It always goes viral. And I always talk about, the concept that I just said. And I basically ask people to tell me how their name got picked. And it's just story after story of quote unquote supernatural kind of stuff. Right. Wow. So the soul communicates to the parents. Right. So that's how that's why the birth name is so important. And so what I'm doing is I'm literally decoding the sound frequencies. But mind you, I add everything up. So, so Will, your name is not even Will on your birth certificate.
That's right.
Right. And so I'm taking your first name, your middle name, and I think it's your 2 last names, correct? And correct. I'm adding it all up, all the sound frequencies. So to me, it doesn't matter if your name is, Will or John, or that's not what I'm looking at. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Having said that, you will notice, and this is maybe where, I'm going to use the name Jane, for example, just because, it's such a common name, but, or Jenny or Tiffany, I don't know. But, sometimes I remember when I was in high school and I remember thinking, gosh, all these Jennys, they're the same, or all the Tiffany's are the same. And I'm making a general statement here, but it is because if we just break down the sound frequencies of the name just Jenny or Tiffany, it's going to be the same sound frequency. So yes, the people that have that same first name are going to have similarities as well, but that's not the core of the actual, that's not how I derive the soul contract. Okay.
Sure.
So just to do the distinction there.
Yeah. And now I'm seeing Karen cringe because her name is not something that she wants to be associated with other people whose names she has.
So that actually leads me to my question. I have never liked my name. Even as a kid, I hated my name. My first name, my middle name, I've never, ever liked it. It doesn't seem like it fits. It doesn't seem like it's my personality. Does that mean anything at all?
It means you should probably change it if you don't like it.
Yeah. Besides that. And my mom actually changed her name. But no, I just mean like as far as the energy that goes with my name, does that like am I clashing with that energy? Like what does that
No, not at all. Because listen, like I said, sometimes it's not about the actual name. Mm-hmm. It's literally about the frequencies that your soul needed in order to live the experience that your soul wanted to have. So let's work backwards from your last name, because your last name was going to be a given, right? Mm-hmm. So the soul's working with the last name. Well, then it's got to come up with another combination that's going to work with the last name. But also, so many people do change their names. Like I've changed my name multiple times in my life, not on purpose. I was born in the former Soviet Union. So moving to the US, like my name just got shuffled and changed and shuffled and changed. And so now my name is Gellyahnah. It's an optimized version of my birth name, which is Gellyahnah. Mm-hmm. And so the soul will know, oh, all right, well, this one, she's going to change her name 6 or 7 times, so let's give her a foundation so she can keep changing her name. So same for you, Karen, where, you needed particular frequencies to have the experience that your soul wanted to have. But should you want to change your name, really nothing is stopping you. And that's a very common thing to do. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's actually a very common thing to do in cultures outside of the Western cultures, is to change your name when you're ready to expand to the next mission in life.
So changing your name, as an adult, at least here, because you can't really change it as a kid too much, but that won't affect. Let me understand. So that the energies that you're born with, the name that you're born with, those energies will stay the same regardless of what you choose to call yourself later in the future. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad you asked. Yes. So the same way that you can't change your birth date, you can't change your birth name frequencies. But when you change your name, now the new name frequencies are going to lay on top of the original birth name frequencies.
Okay.
So if I wanted to change my name to Regent, that would then,
that would be weird.
Or Master
but it
of the
wouldn't
Universe.
mess anything up.
It might just kind of nudge me in the right direction.
It might mess things up socially, but not vibrationally.
Yeah, that's fair point. Yeah. Okay, so then I've got to ask the question, how do you calculate it? Because I know we've talked to numerologists, so we understand the number thing, but this is vibrational frequency, so it's a lot more specific. How do you, Gellyahnah, translate that frequency into the soul contract?
Yes. Okay. You're asking all the right questions. I love this. So you really are. So what I do is, there are 5 sacred languages that are pure vibration of source. I don't know all 5. I don't remember. Let's not quiz me, but I'll tell you, I know. So one of them is Hebrew, which is the language I use. One of them is hieroglyphics, Sanskrit. Okay. And then there's 2 more, but they are literally pure vibration of source. And so what I do is I convert the sound frequencies in your name to match them up with the Hebrew sounds. And each one of those sounds has a numerical value. So you can almost think of this as a numerology of sorts, but it's not the Western numerology that we're all used to. Okay. But I'm working with and this is preset. Right. I mean, this isn't something I came up with. What to, like Aleph is 1, A, right? The sound. So this is something that's been preset, way before me. And I'm literally just converting the sound frequencies to that's how I match up the vibration.
Okay. Got it. So that makes sense. You take the frequencies and vibrations and you put them into the number, and then you come up with an equation, for lack of a better word, that explains someone's soul contract and things like that. We need to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to dive into how these frequencies directly affect our life's purpose. And you actually were gracious enough to do Karen and I's soul contracts based on our names, and we can't wait to dive into that. Let's see how accurate this is going to be. We're super excited. That all when we come back to the Skeptic Metaphysicians. We're back here on the Skeptic Metaphysicians. We are talking to Gellyahnah Aakhen, who is a mystic that is actually stumbled on a methodology that calculates your soul's purpose, your soul contract, based on the vibrational frequencies of your birth name. And before we went on the break, we had we dived into how this stuff really works, but we hadn't got to how then you take those calculations and translate them into our soul contract. So let's pick it up there. Now that you've got our vibrational frequencies of our birth names, how do you now then associate those frequencies with and create a chart that actually explains where our soul contracts are?
So like you said, it's an equation. It really is. And, to give you a visual, I'm going to try to give everybody a visual, but if you can imagine, it's a Star of David. Which is actually, the Star of David is a 2D version of a sacred geometry symbol called the tetrahedron, most often referred to as a Merkaba. And it's a triangle that faces down and a triangle that faces up. And the Merkaba is such a powerful, it's powerful in so many ways. It's a light body vehicle. But essentially, I take the Merkaba and I put the frequencies around the Merkaba. And so it gives me two places where I see the physical karma that you brought into this lifetime, the spiritual karma. And these are, again, think of karma as things for you to right the wrong. So like maybe in a past lifetime, you misused your power. So in this lifetime, you're here to be of service and really stand in your integrity. Right. I'm just giving one example.
Sure.
And the difference between the physical karma and the spiritual karma is that the physical is typically something that you're born into. It's very like worldly, like the things you're going to experience between ages of 0 to 35 at its strongest, because at 0 to 35, like we don't even we're just trying to understand how to survive on Earth, Yeah. So it's very mucky. 0 to 35, and everything happens in 7-year cycles. So 35 years is really the first, the 5 7-year cycles. So when you turn 35, then you step into the spirit. You're starting to step into the spiritual aspect of your life, and you're asking the deeper questions. Why am I really here? What's really going on? And for many people around the age of 35, they actually experience some sort of a significant shift. Could be a marriage, could be a divorce, could be a car accident, could be a childbirth, could be a midlife crisis, could be a career change. It's almost like the dark night of the soul that pushes them into that deeper phase. But again, in that triangle that's facing down, that initial one, 0 to 35 years old, I get the physical karma, I see the physical talent, and the physical goals. And again, within this triangle, I see the karmic patterns you were born into. Like maybe you were born into a family with lots of conflict, maybe alcoholism, things of that nature, right? That's the physical karma. Then in the talents, your talents is what helps you work through your karma. And it's one of your gifts to the world, right? You know how they say, quote unquote, God-given gift. It's right. Like that. And then your goal is, what is the soul working towards? What gets you out of bed every morning? And the physical goal for most people actually speaks to their career, right? That initial career that we're working through our ego initially in life. We want to establish ourselves. We want to prove ourselves, all of that. That's the triangle facing down. The triangle facing up is the spiritual aspect of your life. So again, the karma there is really a lot more internal. It's more of you working through your own stuff, maybe self-worth issues and right things of that nature. And then we have the spiritual talent, again, very similar to physical talent, but in this deeper way, goals at the top. And then ultimately, right in the middle of the chart, in the middle of the star, is your soul's core purpose.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay.
No.
I can't put it off anymore. I'm just so curious. Before we get started on our chart or our soul contract, you do this for people regularly, right? So anyone who would want to get this done, they can reach out to you and you can help them to figure this all out. So it's not something that you give them a chart, say, good luck, here's, I mean, they can do that if you want to, but I think on your website, you can do that as well. But if you want to do a true soul contract reading from you, you can reach out and you will help someone with that, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. I do soul contract readings daily, and I'm usually booked out pretty far in advance, but yes, absolutely. And then
you're lucky then we got in, we snuck in.
But then there is also the option where I have this in a digital format where I'll generate their chart for them, and I have videos explaining every frequency in depth. And both are phenomenal experiences. I mean, I get testimonials from both sides or both products. They're just a different experience. So when people are choosing to schedule, just, do you want to talk to me personally, or do you sort of like to do this on your own? And of course, price point. So
sure. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's any substitution for one-on-one contact. That reaching out to you, I think, would be the way that I would urge people to go, because you have a wonderful energy about you. But
you can answer questions. And if you're just getting the information and digitally, you might not. What exactly does this mean?
Right. Okay. Without further ado, let's get into it. Tell us about our soul purpose.
All right, let's do it. So again, we're going to keep it lighthearted, bright, and what is it? You have this right, light, bright, and polite. We're not going to sort of dig into your traumas here, live on air. But
we got a lot of that going on. So.
But so Will, we're gonna talk about you, Karen, talk about you, and then you two together. So just sort of kind of quickly. So Will, the interesting thing I see with you, your physical karma, and I'm looking at your birth name, but also your common name. Your common name is what you go by, and that's not your soul contract, but it's still very significant, right? Because that's what people call you.
Sure.
So,
does it make sense that I'm really nervous right now? Do people actually say to you, "I'm scared about what you're about to reveal"? Because I'm really nervous.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too, but I'm really nervous.
Yes, people do say to me, "I don't want to get." They're like, "I'm curious, but I don't want to get a reading because I'm afraid of what you're going to say." So yes, people do say that. I don't look at it that way at all. I mean, to me, it's about to learn about myself from every aspect is like the most exciting thing ever.
Absolutely. Forewarned is forearmed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I promise you have nothing to be afraid of. So,
okay. I should have asked you that from the beginning. So, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, all good. But, so in your physical karma, what I see is a 12-3 frequency. And on top of it, in your common name is the 17-8. So, I mean, we don't have an hour to dig into this, so I'm going to tell you very quickly. Both of these frequencies are about extreme expression of your voice, just expressing yourself. So people with 12-3s, these are your podcasters. These are your book authors. These are people that have a lot to say, and you were born with inner wisdom, like your soul's inner wisdom. It's just in you. You have it, and so you have a lot to say. That's the 12-3. Well, the 3 part of it. The 17-8, these are public speakers. These are oftentimes politicians. These are people that speak into society, right? So
actors, maybe.
Possibly, but the 3s are actors. The 12-3s, they're very creative. So oftentimes they're actors, they're singers. Again, lots of expressions. So you have 2 very vocal frequencies sitting on top of each other, but they're in your karma. So this tells me possibly initially in life, maybe you actually had a challenging time expressing yourself, or maybe felt like you couldn't, or why say anything? Who's going to listen to me? Again, I don't know, because we're not digging deep into it, but they're coming in as challenges initially in life for you to work through to actually get to a place where you say it loud and you say it proud. Like your voice is meant to be heard, and you're meant to understand your worth. And the aids, they're here to connect with people emotionally. So when you speak, you have this way of, again, just connecting with people in an emotional way. They feel you.
Gosh, that
Yeah.
it's making it hard not to just tear up here.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
All of it, including
nails 'em.
the childhood stuff. Yeah, there was a lot in my childhood that, yeah, I can completely see where this comes from.
Okay, well, good. Well, I'm glad to see that you've worked through it, because you're sitting in front of me with a big mic, and I have one of these too, and because I have a 12-3 in my chart as well. Mine sits in one of my talent positions, so I've always been the girl with the big mic, and I don't even podcast this. I mean, I've got like 3 podcast episodes, but I'm like, I need the big mic.
Four. You have 4. I saw. I looked you up.
Oh, okay. There you go. 4. Yeah, they're coming. They're coming. More will come, but anyway, so that's your physical karma. Now, the other thing I see about you, you're very charismatic. You have a big heart. You have powerful love frequencies. So you have 7s in your chart. The 7s, these people are here to help others heal their hearts. So again, how do they show up to the world? They show up charismatic. I mean, do you find that people have an easy time sharing with you? Sometimes even strangers will just tell you their life story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and sometimes they even say, I don't know why I'm telling you all of this.
Yeah. All the time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because you're a magnet. And when they share with you, it's heart healing for them.
Maybe I'm too close to it, so I don't see it as well as other people, but I've been told that before.
It's sitting in one of your talent positions. Your spiritual talents is a 7-7. So remember how I said the talents are quote unquote God-given talents, for a lack of a better term. You will always have this magnetism about you. And for women, it shows up even more so, like where people, just strangers, like completely random situations, people will just tell them their life stories. With men, I find, with the 7s, they're just, well, you have a lot to say, but maybe you haven't always been so open in saying it, because the 7s, they don't always want people knowing their business or what's really going on.
I've always wanted to be that mysterious guy, Yeah, but I've given that up.
Yes.
Good. So this is you working through the negative aspect of it and stepping into the positive. But you're here to bring people together, again, to help them heal. And sometimes the 7s, they're even here to work with groups of people. Like, this is the ultimate connection frequency, that networking connection frequency, right? Bringing people together for the purpose of their growth, to help them heal. And it's all about their hearts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jesus. This is, oh my God. Okay. I can't, I mean, obviously by our reaction, you're nailing it in a fairly significant way. Karen knows this, but I lead a team of people that we're very close, and we are like family. And we're just building now a brand new project that brings a bunch of people, like-minded folks, together to move forward in a common good. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now suddenly it's like, oh, that's why.
Yeah. No, see, I love that. So you see how it is? It's just so much validation more than anything, that like, wow, I am in my divine purpose. So when you asked me earlier, well, can you break your soul contract? My question is, why would you want to? It's so beautiful.
Yeah. It's true, but you're not just validating. You sometimes are shining a light on something that wasn't as obvious to us as it is when you call it out. Once you call it out, you go, oh, yeah, that's why.
Or maybe even allowing someone to do or be something that they've always kind of secretly wanted, but never really felt why, how.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Karen, that's so true. And this is why I tell people, when you come to me for a reading, it's about empowerment. It's about me waking you up. It's about me, like, that is exactly the angle I come at it from, because I want you to be the best version of yourself. This is very different than a psychic reading. Oh, tell me if he's going to call me after our breakup, right? It's nothing like that.
The answer is no. He's not.
Exactly. Yes. Don't pick up the phone. But it's so much about that empowerment. What you both just said. Yes, I love that. Thank you for articulating what I do. Like, we're both reflecting to each other right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so your soul destiny, Will, is it's an 11 too. You and I have the same soul destiny.
Ooh.
We are builders. We are here to build.
Oh my God.
I say that all the time to people. I am a builder.
Have
That's
you been
what I
bugging
do.
our house?
I know, right?
And listening to our conversations.
It's a little scary.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it's like talking to Alexa all of
Wow.
a sudden.
I
Right?
know, right?
That's funny.
Wow, that's incredible.
Oh, that is incredible. I mean, even those specific words that you're using to tell us about this. Wow.
Well, so Will, so you know what that tells you is how tapped in you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we don't realize how tapped in we are with our intuition, with our awareness. So many people come to me and I'm like, hey, are you intuitive? And they're like, I don't think so. But then they go on to be super intuitive. And I'm like, so oftentimes we literally just don't realize how intuitive we are, or we debunk it, or we think, oh, it's just my brain. It's not really my intuition.
Can't imagine someone else on this call thinking that or saying that ever, Karen. We'll get into that after, off the air. But, yeah, it's wonderful. It is great confirmation because you think you're a certain way and you're pretty sure about that. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what I am. I'm a builder. That's what I do. That's my whole purpose. But to have that confirmation from someone we've never met before, you don't know me at all. So you're just going by the vibration of my birth name and my common name. That's astounding.
That's wild.
It truly is. I can't wait to hear all about Karen because she is an enigma to me. Not really.
Oh, I'll tell you one thing about you and Karen too. In both of your common names, you have the same soul destiny, which is this 13-4 frequency. And the 13-4, to me, this is one of the most beautiful frequencies you can have in a soul contract. It is unconditional love. It's such a beautiful maternal, just foundational, unconditional. And you both share that. So this is where you two are so heart healing for each other as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and here comes the waterworks.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. I think without you knowing, Gellyahnah, you just spoke to Karen's heart completely. This is something that we've had a conversation about many times. She is all about love. I mean, she is probably, and I've said on the show before, she's one of the most loving people I've ever met in my life. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, and I can see that in her chart, even though she doesn't like her name, it actually gives her quite beautiful frequencies. So maybe after this, you'll actually have a different appreciation for your name. Yeah. So yeah, but I wanted to point that out. And when you have the same soul destiny, and you two have more connections I'm going to speak to, but you have the same soul destiny number, that is so powerful between two people, right? Because you both share a mission. And this is, I'm getting chills now. This is sometimes when I talk about divine soulmates, because we all have multiple soulmates, right? But that divine soulmate will never derail you from your mission. They will be a part of that mission in life.
Are you saying that Karen and I are soulmates? Are divine soulmates?
Well, it could be. It could be. I can't always tell that from the charts, but I'm saying it could very be because you have the same soul destiny number, which is so powerful. And so you have a shared mission. And that's one of the things I look for is, do these people have a shared mission? When people come to me for relationship readings.
Okay. All
Yeah. All right. So Karen, all right. So let's get into you. Okay. Karen, you are a dragon.
Ooh.
You are like the mother of dragons here. You've got all these 9. So the dragon is the most powerful frequency in the entire modality.
Here we go.
The keyword is power. Okay. So, and Will, you have 9s as well. Okay. I didn't focus on your 9s. I was going to wait till we get to Karen's just because she's got this, just her chart starts with them.
Sure.
So the 9s, they're very powerful. Okay. And I'm not going to go into any sort of trauma situations, but I will tell you, initially in life, the 9s tend to experience disempowerment. So people taking their power away from them. Okay. So this is sometimes, speaking very generically, this is where I'll see maybe, parents that aren't so good to the children, maybe bullying in school, maybe, coworkers sort of out to get them, just different disempowering situations in life. And so part of what the 9s are here to learn is that they're the dragons. They're the powerful ones. and they've got to step into that power and use it with integrity. And really where you're going to is to never let anybody disempower you or take your power away. And you're here to be in integrity with your own power, because it's possible in a past life you had the power and you misused it, right? I mean, I'm saying it's a possibility. I don't know. All of us have at some point.
Sure.
This might be where you're coming in to sort of balance out that karma. So for you, integrity is such a big, important thing in this lifetime. Also, I don't know if you've ever, before Will, if you ever attracted any narcissists into your life, but often.
Oh boy. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, but that is a common sign of the 9s. They attract narcissists.
Yeah, it's not a matter of whether she attracted them or not. It's how many she attracted into her life.
Well, it wasn't that bad.
No.
See, and that's the karmic pattern that I talk about. And the karmic patterns will keep repeating until you start to actually heal out of it. So people say, well, how do I, another word for quote unquote, break my contract, which I don't use that phrase, but a lot of people do, and that's how they think. I say the best way is to heal out of it. Because when you're healing out of a negative karmic pattern, it's no longer going to trigger you. So if another narcissist now comes around, Karen, but you're standing in your power, they don't even have a hook into your energy.
They better not.
That's right, because Will's going to come in with his dragons. Okay?
That's right.
Will
That's
also
right.
has dragons. Yes. So, and the way that, and I wish I could show you the visual, but the way that they're positioned in both of your charts, this is where I see your karmic lock magnet connection. Your 9. So Will, your 9s, if you can visualize, they're in your physical talent position, and your talent is what helps you work through your karma. And Karen, your first pair of 9s is sitting in your karma. So essentially, Will is helping you work through, he's helping you stand in your power, like constantly. Right? So that's very powerful connection between you two. And we call this a karmic lock. This is the magnet. This is the strongest magnet you to have. Like, this is what drew you to each other, is the positioning of these 9s.
Okay.
So hopefully that visual makes sense. I mean, I'm not showing it, but I'm trying to explain it.
Yeah. No, it does. And it resonates very well. The least I can do is help her stand up to her power, because I do believe that I do that.
You do.
Because
Absolutely.
I'm constantly trying to help her to claim it, because she is unbelievably powerful and she doesn't even realize how powerful she is.
I believe that most 9s, and it's not that they don't realize, it's they're more afraid of their own power, because they do realize how powerful they are secretly. Right, Karen? She knows she's a dragon. So the other beautiful thing about your chart, Karen, is you actually have another pair of 9s in your own physical talent position. So you were born with, again, the way that your name is structured is, even though you gave yourself the experience of disempowerment, you also gave yourself the best tool to help yourself work through it. Okay. And when you have a 9 sitting in your talent positions, you're like God incarnate. There's literally nothing you cannot do in this lifetime. That is how powerful you are.
I can't believe you just said that. Oh my God.
It's funny that you say that, because little things like, when I took the SATs, I got the exact same score on both sides. Or when I would take the, in high school, what college you want to go to, and you take the different tests of what you're good at, I would always get the exact in all of them. Like, it was always the same. So it was really hard for me to choose what I wanted to study or what I wanted to do, because, God, it sounds like, I was good at everything. But you know what I'm saying. It was like nothing was a particular challenge.
And you still are. You still are good at everything that you set your mind to. And I can't, what's this 6th person now that says this to you, Karen? Eventually, Karen is going to understand that everything that everyone's telling her is legit. She is unbelievably powerful. She's here for a very specific purpose. And even though she feels like she needs to be humble about it, and it's a beautiful thing, you need to also accept it and move forward with that in mind.
Absolutely. So those are so you have 4 9s in your chart again, which is very powerful. And like I said, the biggest connection with you and Will is these 9s, and because you both have them in your talent positions, you both help each other work through your karmas and reach your goals I mean, it's just such a powerful combination, you two. That's why as soon as we came on screen, I was like, powerful couple. Wow, you guys are, and it's like when you're together, you're unstoppable. There's
We make
literally
a good
nothing you
team.
can't do.
We really make a good team.
We do. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I see there. All right. And then, okay. So Karen, moving down a little bit lower in your, so onto the next triangle, I also see, I see you've got some sensitivity to you. You're actually very sensitive in a sense where you can, yes, you can feel other people, but it's almost like if everyone has, when it comes to emotions, if people have a crayon box of like the 16 crayons, you have the 164 version where you can just feel so many other feelings in between.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But this is not a bad thing. This is part of your makeup, that you can feel things. This is what allows you to see between the lines. This is what allows you to connect with people emotionally as well. The eights, they have the gift of clairvoyance, which is they can see things, and doesn't mean that you actually see spirits. I mean, some eights do. Did you say you do?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that. But like I said, it's just this, like, knowing the truth of any situation. You know, that sense, it's sort of a sensitivity. So I see you've got that, and they're very elemental. They love nature. They love animals. For you, it's like medicine to be in nature, to put your feet in the grass, because that's what grounds you. The eights are analytical. They're always in their mind, thinking. So it's like we've got to ground you out of your head and get you back into your body.
Oh, this is incredible. You are nailing both of us so hardcore. It's incredible. I just can't get over it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gellyahnah. This is
no. I love the kudos. You're giving me an endorphin high, so it's all great. But yeah, and then so when we get to your soul destiny, Karen, yours is a 6-6. You actually have 4 6s in your chart, so this tells me you're very creative. And I don't always mean artistic. Some people, creativity, you can be artistic, but creativity could be ideas, that you just have a lot of ideas constantly coming, because they come to you from a soul level. It's like your soul's whispering to you, hey, Karen, do this, do that, and sometimes it's like nonstop, like too many ideas, and you don't know which to pursue, or you'll start them up, but won't finish them. So
that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Something else, it's like squirrel, something else comes in.
It's that ADD sort of energy, right? Where it's just sort of all over the place. Yeah. That's because, again, you're a creator, and creators, that's how their mind works. But when it's 6 in your soul destiny, you are literally the vessel that source comes through to bring, like, to create things into the physical. You're literally here to take your ideas and create them in the physical form somehow.
I have so much I could say that I'm just not going to. Wow.
Oh,
Wow. That's incredible. Wow. I mean, you go into these things with a healthy amount of skepticism, and you, in full disclosure, a lot of times we have people that do stuff for us, and it's pretty general in scope. So you go, yeah, that could be me. That could be also be Joe down the corner too, right? Same kind of thing. I think this is way specific. I can't imagine this being Karen and Mariana down the street. This is very specific to Karen. It's astounding. Yeah. Really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because each name is like a snowflake. And then I look at the combination of the birth name and the common name. And yeah, I mean, that really tells me the full story, And now if Karen had changed her last name, when she got married, that would give her a whole other layer of energies now. Well, and I say Karen because most, it's usually women that do that, but I'm just, explaining how specific we can get, because I'm literally, but this is, here's takes us to the beginning, where the sound vibrations create your reality.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm speaking to the sound vibration.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love this so much. If you have been listening to this so far and you want to feel the same feelings that Karen and I are feeling right now, I urge you to reach out to Gellyahnah, because this is truly just, it's mind-blowing how accurate this has been. It's incredible.
It really is. Wow.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah. Are you kidding?
One thing that people ask me, about why would somebody want to quote unquote change their soul contract, I think what people ask that when they're in pain. And so I want to address that situation for a moment.
Great point.
It's when you're in pain, it's usually because you're in resistance to your soul contract. You're in resistance to your divine purpose. And we as humans, we love to be in resistance. You know, we don't want to give up control. We don't want to surrender. We have this idea that we're in control of our lives, which is not always the case. So the more you can actually surrender to what your purpose is here, the better your life will flow. So it's not that you want to end your soul contract. It's that you actually want to accept it and step into all the positive frequencies within your soul contract, because every frequency has the negative and the positive, right? So Karen, that same 9-9 that caused you disempowerment in life is actually what's allowing you to stand in your power now. So it's just about moving from the negative, the shadow aspects to the positive aspects. And the word for that is healing.
Oh,
I love that.
I was just going to say the exact same thing. I absolutely love that. Gellyahnah, this has been unbelievable. What an amazing almost hour we spent with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I looked up in a time when, oh my gosh, going to have to do some editing for the radio. But so worth it. So incredibly worth it. So if someone wanted to take advantage of your talents, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
They can find me on my website, yoursoulscontract.com. And there's an S at the end of soul. So again, yoursoulscontract.com. And I'm all over social media. I'm on TikTok and Instagram. And on there, I'm Soul Contracts Practitioner. And there's an underscore in each one. So soul _ contracts _ practitioner _
Okay. Well, we're going to add direct links to all of that on our show notes. So if you want to reach out to Gellyahnah, all you need to do is go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to her episode page, and you'll see all of those links directly in our show notes. You can just click them and get connected with her immediately. Either way is fine by us. Just do reach out to her because this is super empowering.
Absolutely.
Thank you once again for coming and sharing of your expertise and making us feel whole, because that's kind of how I feel now. I feel whole all of a sudden. So thank you for that.
Oh my gosh, it was my pleasure. Truly, it is a pleasure and an honor to be of somebody's spiritual journey. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming along on this journey of discovery with us. We'd love to continue our conversation with you on our website at skepticmetaphysician.com or on Facebook and Instagram under Skeptic Metaphysician Podcast. If you know someone who would benefit from hearing the messages we're sharing on the show, do them and us a favor and share the show with them. It will help get the word out about us, and it may just change someone's life for the better. And if you're listening to this on the radio and you missed something, well, not to worry. All of our shows, including this one, can be found at skepticmetaphysician.com, where you can also watch the videos or even send us an email or voicemail directly from the site. We absolutely love feedback and would appreciate hearing from you. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we have. That's all for now. We'll see you on the next episode of The Skeptic Metaphysicians. Until then, take care.